I do want to talk real quick about the big trade that happened. The Dodgers are playing the Giants. They shocked the world with a trade for Rafael Devers from the Boston Red Sox. They send Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison, who's expected to pitch today against the Dodgers, as well as their number 5 overall prospect, who was their first round pick in 2024, and a 20-year-old who I didn't see, at least on like any of the top 30 prospect type lists there. He has 7.5 years left on a $315 million contract that he signed. There was the drama around Devers. He wanted to play third base. They didn't think he was good enough to play third. So they made him the DH. He pouted about it. Then they asked him to play first because somebody got injured, and he said no. He's now a Giant. All that said, the positivity, he's one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. He continues to be awesome. He's a 4.5 win player over the last 4 years. So briefly, like as Dodgers fans, our rival, the San Francisco Giants, if you want to call them rivals, we can get into that debate if we want to later. But the San Francisco Giants just traded for one of the best hitters in baseball, and he's going to be around for the next 7.5 years. I'm curious your immediate thoughts on the move.
If the Dodgers made this trade, we'd be going nuts.
Yeah.
This guy is that good. He's a top 10 offensive player in Major League Baseball, and that is the floor for him right now. So they got a guy who on the offensive end is like MVP caliber production kind of guy. And they got him long-term. He's not a rental by any means. And so this it's baseball. So it's not like in the NBA where like you trade for like a dominant star and like he really changes, like Luka, he changes your outlook. Right.
In theory, Luka changes your outlook, but here we are watching the NBA.
All that, but like you know where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
And so Devers is that kind of offensive weapon now. And it shifts. It doesn't completely change, but it shifts sort of the landscape and the outlook for what the National League West looks like, not just for the rest of this season, but again, this is a long-term move. He's in the second season of a 10-year extension.
I think it's the third season of the 10-year extension. So I think he's got 7 years plus the rest of this one.
Gotcha. Okay. So we're going to be dealing with this dude for a while, and he's going to be the next guy that Dodger fans love to hate.
And that's the question.
And that's why the ESPN broadcast, and that's why we talked about this, because it is a big deal. It's one of the best hitters in baseball, changing leagues, changing teams, and the team that was on the broadcast, one of the teams, is the team that he's going to. It's a big move.
Yeah. And I would say this, if I was a Giants fan, I would be excited for a bunch of reasons. One, he's really freaking good and he's an incredible hitter. The second thing is we know the Giants have gone after all of the top free agents and struck out. Like they can't get guys to sign free agent contracts to go there. So this is a win for the Giants because this is probably the highest caliber of player that the Giants could ever attract or trade for or sign or that kind of thing. They also gave up very little. like everyone kept waiting for the shoe to drop of the next prospect. And it was like, so it's their number 5 prospect, Jordan Hicks, who's like, sure, whatever. Kyle Harrison, who like might be good. And a 20-year-old who's like in the complex league somewhere. Like that was the trade. So they didn't give up a bunch. Now, as a Dodgers fan, let me tell you a couple reasons why you might be excited to know that the Giants just traded for this guy. There's obviously the drama about him not being good at third base, him pouting about not playing third base, him refusing to play first base when they asked him to. Whether they've got all that sorted out, whether that's in the rear view, we'll see. They've got Matt Chapman, who's way more entrenched at third base than anybody the Red Sox have. And so they're going to find ways to get him in, but it might actually be as a DH. But the second thing, and Anthony, you and I talked a little bit about this on social media, is the contract. There's 7.5 years left. Jeff Passan tweeted this. The blockbuster has executives across baseball confounded. On one hand, the Red Sox got out from a deal every model in baseball has at underwater and got talent back. On the other, a team with talent and momentum just traded its best hitter. So the second piece of this is the Giants, yes, they traded for Devers, and yes, he has 7.5 years left. That might not be a good thing, according to some people in baseball, to be paying him that number for the next 7.5 years. So that's, I think, the yin and the yang of this. Yes, he's a great hitter. He's going to help them this year, next year, the next couple of years for sure. It also might be an albatross of a contract a la Xander Bogaerts moving forward for one of our divisional rivals.
Yeah, definitely. I think that in the near term, like the next 2, 3, 4 seasons, this is the anchor of their offense.
Yeah.
Going forward beyond that, it's a big question mark, I think. And does he stay in shape, healthy enough to continue to produce? What do his numbers look like in that ballpark now?
Yeah.
That's also going to be a change for him. It's a big reason why you mentioned this a second ago. It's a big reason why the Giants, to do a move like this, have to do it via trade, because free agent big time bats are not looking to go to San Francisco to hit.
Yeah, exactly.
And they had to massively overpay for Willy Adames, and we've sort of seen, he's coming around now, but we've sort of seen how that's gone for the most part of this season. Hasn't been great from an offensive standpoint for Adames, and so they had to make an aggressive move, and they're going to always have to overpay for offensive talent like this.
Yeah.
The fact that they didn't really have to overpay is interesting, and I think while this, like I said earlier, shifts sort of the landscape of the National League West going forward, Red Sox fans have to be pissed. And I think also, like, this is a completely separate thing, but the Red Sox better spend that money that they're saving, or else there might be a revolt from Red Sox Nation, because they've mismanaged and bungled this thing from every possible direction ever since the Mookie Betts trade.
Yeah. You mentioned that it's going to change the complexion of the NL West. That was kind of the last point I wanted to make here.
Yeah.
I'm actually not sure that's the case. And here's what I mean. Like, we just played the Giants. I was on a bunch of text threads that were like, does anybody know who half these guys in the lineup are? Like, I know Willy Adames was their big free agent signing. He's been really, really bad this season, although maybe the last week he's kind of started to figure it out. This Giants team, I know where they're at in the standings. They just don't feel like, to me, Anthony, they're a Rafael Devers away from being competitive. And we just talked about the timelines. Like, this is a guy whose timeline is coming to an end. And so even if you want to make the case, hey, they have young talent, some of these guys that are about to start coming up and make a difference, this to me feels like if I was an outsider and I was skeptical of, like, can Buster Posey actually do this job? Just because you are a good player and a smart guy doesn't necessarily make you the next great general manager, executive, etc. I would be skeptical of this. This makes sense on paper. You get a lot of great headlines from this. Giants fans are going to be thrilled. But if you ask me to pick, like, 4 years from now, are we looking back on this trade as like a roaring success or a potential devastating failure? I might actually go failure side.
I think you have to set parameters on what those expectations are then.
Fair.
Because, like I said, the Giants don't have they don't have any chance to go and get a big bat any other way. And so,
it didn't cost them that much as far as assets had to be sent out the door, which is fair.
Correct. And he's not the perfect player. Like, they're not getting Aaron Judge, right? Like, they weren't getting Bryce Harper in his prime when he was in the MVP conversation, annually. And so I think we have to set expectations and what those look like. Like, if you're going, is this guy offensively Shohei Ohtani? No, then it's going to be a failure. But is this guy a middle of the order anchor for the next handful of seasons? Probably so.
I'm talking team success, and I should have clarified that. I'm talking, like, I don't now look at the Giants as this team that I have to be afraid of for the next 3 or 4 years. I still think the Padres are better than the Giants, even with this trade. My view.
If they do nothing else, then I'm with you. Okay. I'm with you. And like I said, and that's why I made the NBA comparison, because it's not like, you can trade for one guy and he changes sort of what the expectations of that team can be based. You get 4 tries a game, maybe 5 tries a game to change it.
Especially as a DH who's not going to be playing the field positively either.
Exactly. So it's a different beast. But as much as a guy or a bat can change a team like this, he's one of those dudes. Now, we said before this series, I think it was last week, I think we might have been asked, like, do the Giants hang around or what? It was something along those lines that we were discussing. And I said, look, they have the pitching. I think their pitching holds up. I just don't think they can score enough. They did something today to at least start to address that problem.
Yeah. Jedi Engineer with the super chat. Do you think Posey will be better at communicating about position changes than Boston was? I mean, I think the Giants have the advantage of being the second person, right? Like, they didn't have to break the news to Rafael Devers that he stinks at defense and that he's not going to be playing in the field anymore. Now the Giants come in. The Red Sox have already navigated all of that. Now, they probably have to rehab the conversation, and maybe they're going to let him play first base. Maybe he's going to be excited about that if they tell him, you're our long-term guy here, although their top prospect is a first baseman, so don't get too comfortable there, Rafael. But, like, that, the only thing I would be hoping for if I was Buster Posey is that, A, I'm a former player who holds some cachet, and so maybe he'll listen to me more, and B, he's already just accepted that he's going to be a DH and that we don't even really have to have this conversation. That would be my hope if I was the Giants.
Yeah. I think the thing that we're missing here is what Devers' true feelings are about all this. And the early reports were like that he was excited about the trade,
Yeah.
but like he's still not getting what he wants. And
Right.
maybe all he wanted at the end of this was out of Boston. You
Got
know,
that.
and so yeah, there he is, and he's being dropped into the middle of a division race that the new team is in the thick of. So yeah, you like they need more than Devers. I'm
Yeah.
with you on that. I don't think this makes them better. This doesn't make them better than the Dodgers.
Yeah. Absolutely. Totally agree. Good way to put a bow on that one. Let's